Hello, I'm Congressman Trent Franks, and I just want to take a moment to thank my good friend, Rabbi Benny Elan, Chairman of the International Israel Allies Caucus Foundation, and members of the board, as well as my friends Mike Sodrell and Dave Weldon. And I want to offer my wholehearted appreciation for the work you're doing in defense of America's most cherished ally. As co-chair of the Congressional Israel Allies Caucus, I'm continually encouraged to hear about the important work being accomplished all over the world by the Foundation. The Israel Allies Caucus Foundation has been an indispensable partner for the Israel Allies Caucus. This congressional session has seen a lot of new faces come into the House of Representatives, and the Foundation has been a tremendous help in introducing the caucus to new members of Congress. Now, while many new members undoubtedly have already formed opinions on Israel, the Foundation ensures those opinions are based on sound knowledge and solid information. The United States and Israel have long enjoyed a uniquely strong bond. Indeed, for over 60 years, the United States has maintained its steadfast commitment to the existence and well-being of the State of Israel. In fact, a mere 11 minutes after the newly formed Jewish state made its Declaration of Independence on May 14, 1948, the United States of America was the first country to publicly state its de facto recognition of Israel's right to exist. To this day, Israel remains the truest friend America has in the world. And in the wake of recent instability in the region and Israel's subsequent deployment of its Iron Dome missile defense program, the same Israel that has stood unwaveringly beside the United States for 6 decades needs our support now more than ever. And I want this caucus to be a forum where Israel's plight is seriously considered and the necessary policy to address these concerns is actually formed. One way to show support during these uncertain times is by recognizing Jerusalem as the undivided capital of Israel and establishing the U.S. Embassy in this historic city. There is currently legislation before the House Committee that calls for these changes to take place, and I am honored to support the Jerusalem Embassy Act and believe that this long overdue legislation is an important component of our continued steadfast relationship with Israel. You know, Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir said many years ago, quote, "In our long war with the Arabs, Israel has always had a secret weapon. No alternative." Israel today faces threats on all sides from nations who hate the freedom she represents. And I thank those of you at the International Israel Allies Caucus Foundation for your continued good work as you ensure the United States remains vigilant in supporting Israel against those who would love nothing more than to see her destroyed. President Harry Truman once said, quote, "I had faith in Israel before it was established. I have faith in it now. I believe it has a glorious future before it, not just another sovereign nation, but as an embodiment of the great ideals of our civilization." Now, I know that those of you at the International Israel Allies Caucus Foundation and the members of the Congressional Israel Allies Caucus recognize those words to be true and believe that the cause of liberty will continue to prevail in the land of Israel as it has before. And indeed that Israel has a glorious future yet before it, and her greatest days are still to come.